You're about to find out exactly why and when Bitcoin will take off. Now, the most beautiful thing about all of this is actually we're at a very crucial tipping point. You want to make sure that you're staying with me right to the very end of this video so that you, my friend, watching this video, know exactly how to position yourself, because there are only days left to do your buy-in. Welcome back to the Crypto Bliss channel and community. I truly appreciate you. Let's delve right into the content for today's session. First of all, being Bitcoin has been in a downward trend, right? So Bitcoin moving exactly as planned. A bit more downside and a sweep of the lows is possible, but the V-shaped recovery is going to be insane. Shout out to the Scalping Pro. So here, I mean, we could push up, we could drop down a little bit, all the way back down to 76 again, and then make a massive move and then capitulate and then break right through that level. Let us go and have a look at our Bitcoin chart. Okay, there's the resistance that we're referring to right there. Okay, this is the M2 money supply, M2 global liquidity index. All right, and I've put it on to 70. So if you come over to the settings on the day, you put it 70 on, and if you're on the weekly chart, you put it 10. Get yourself 10 weeks ahead, because that's how many days it is, right? If we had to look very closely, we're kind of at that point here where we're having a down day, and look at how closely this is actuated by the Bitcoin price, right? Now, as you see here, collapses, sideways, up. We could have one more dip down here, okay? We could really have one more dip down here, because that kind of adds up to this level that I already said we could come down to, which would mean that we would find that support level around that 70K odd level, 73, 75. We could, guys. I'm not saying it would happen. I'm not saying it won't happen, but really, like, here's the next level, right? Look at how this is positioned, okay? Actually, look at how this is positioned, right? So right now, you can see that this area here is somewhat peaking around this current area over there. Who knows what happens, but look at how I drew my drawing for us. A pull down, hit that level, pull back up at this point, come back down once again, and then push back up here, hit the resistance, pull back down, find support, push back up, and then make a way. Like, it could just happen however it could just happen. But what is this? What does this mean? Well, first of all, you can see now that Bitcoin on the daily chart actually tracks liquidity, the M2 liquidity, quite closely. And let's have a much closer look at that, right? So you can see there that there was a last little pump in liquidity, but that was the point that it exited. Boom, got out. Look at all of this. And then double bottom, it started buying back up. Look at that buy back up here. And honestly, this was around the time of the ETF launch, right? Actually, here it was down. So what you can see is actually that there was a load of liquidity that came in. And then liquidity kind of sat sideways for again, then pump up here. You look at the chart, it's doing the same thing, right? Global liquidity pump, pump, sideways a little bit, sideways, all this way. Look at what happened here. We had a little bit of a liquidity drop over there at that point, but it didn't really affect the, well, you had a price drop, it didn't really affect the global liquidity. Look at this move here, okay? Boom, double bottom in this area, right up there. I mean, look at how much liquidity came right up. I mean, when this started hitting sideways, geez, like I was telling you, it's time to underlay. Get out. Okay, so M2 liquidity has been very closely tied to Bitcoin. Now, the question is, what else has it been closely tied to? Well, first of all, I'd like to share, what essentially AI thinks about what's going on in the market. And this is from today, right? I just did this right now before this video for you. So stock market volatility. Trade tensions are rising due to US tariffs on steel and aluminium. The EU is retaliating with its own tariffs. Major stock markets, S&P 500, Dow Jones, NASDAQ, are declining. Global stock values have dropped by $5 trillion. Now, with that being said, if you really think about it, okay, what is going on here is that there is volatility. We are going to get volatility. That's why we're seeing the indecision, is what you would possibly look at it as in the trading charts. It's not going really up above a peak level, and it's not going down below a bottom level. And what that means for us is that it's trading within a volatility band. Now, the beautiful thing about that is that the currency and economic shifts, the US dollar is really aiming to weaken itself. That's what Mr. Donald Trump wants. The US dollar is weakening due to trade wars, fears, and government job cuts. The euro and yen are strengthening due to higher defense spending and interest rate changes. Investors are shifting focus to European and Asian markets. In other words, weakening the dollar. So quite interesting. That leads to the next, which is inflation concerns. And the US Consumer Price Index dropped slightly, but inflation remains high. That's why the Federal Reserve are using this as a tool. Rent and insurance costs continue to rise. The Federal Reserve's preferred inflation measure, PCE index, shows stronger inflation than CPI, which is not what they want, right? Investors are diversifying with global assets, gold, and bonds, hence why Bitcoin is part of that very beautiful pot of gold. Digital gold, that is. Expectation of US Federal Reserve interest rate cuts to stimulate the economy. There is an expectation, but there's no line of sight of it just yet. But are we about to see a rate cut very soon in the next federal meeting? I do believe that that is sometime at the end of this month. Banks are lowering their outlook on US and Australian stocks. The trade war impact. The US, EU, and Canada are increasing tariff conflicts. The S&P 500 is close to technical correction, a 10% drop. And normally, we know that a 20% drop in the stock market essentially means that the market is in a bear market. So we're halfway towards a bear market. However, we can see in our charts that generally we have a massive, massive correction in Bitcoin, and it can go up to 50, 60% as a correction. But Bitcoin's never in a bear market. It's always in a bull market. It just has very strong pullbacks. And therefore, that's why I would care to ask you to proceed with caution by using my link down below. Not a financial advisor. Get yourself some Satoshis. Stack yourself some Satoshis. Buy whatever you possibly can. Stack them away in your hardware wallet and just sit and relax. Because what I'm about to show you is going to make you understand that your paper value is being eroded, and the only solution to that problem is Bitcoin. All right. So financial institutions predict more market instability ahead. That's mad. What's next? Markets remain highly volatile due to trade policies and inflation. Defensive and diversified investments are recommended. So AI is recommending defensive and diversified. Those are both Bitcoin, right? Close monitoring of policy changes is crucial for investors. Now, the very beautiful thing about this all is that what we can see here in the Dixie, okay, is that it's inverse to what Bitcoin is doing. We can see here that when the M2 global money supply drops, boom, the dollar drops. Although you can see now it's picked up right again, which means that there's going to be money printing coming along. Okay, you can see that on the stochastic and the MACD. We're going to start seeing money printing coming out very soon, which means that that liquidity has to find some place, which means that that is very likely got to do with the crypto assets that I've just really shared with you. Defensive and diversified investments that is recommended by AI. And hence why, if we go back and we look at when Mr. Trump was back in, so here at that point, the M2 supply came out the market. But then it started coming back into the market around these levels. It started and it continued to go in at about these levels. It pulled back here, continued to go up. So it's a little bit different to then. But right now, you can see where we're currently at, okay? We literally are at a point where the global liquidity is going to have a little pump up, a very hard pullback, maybe down to this level here, and then a strong pullback, probably back up to 105 zone. That means money and printing is going to come into this space like you cannot believe. Another clue that we have is the euro, and of course the yen and the sterling, because all of the currencies against the dollar essentially should start to be gaining strength against the dollar. Now this is the euro, and the euro has been absolutely obliterated. If we really have a look at the euro on a much higher time frame, okay, the euro has just been coming down and down and down and down and down and down. It has literally been dying against the dollar, okay. But now we're at a very beautiful point here where we can see, okay, we had the euro weakening against the dollar, but recently it's been making higher lows and it's been strengthening against the dollar at this moment. So we're at a point here where what we're saying is that there will be a pull down, okay, a pull down, which means that it will strengthen. So right now, we'll track it down a little bit, maybe punch up a little bit, and then boom, okay. The euro is about to absolutely, it just needs to get up to that area right there, which, you know, will give it some strength. The 1.12, that will give it some strength. That's what's busy happening out there at the moment. Now, the key behind all of this is as follows, okay? The worst cycle yet, it's undoubtedly not true, okay? Really, this is where we are at in the cycle. The black line, not even the blue line, not the gold line, okay? Really, the bottom was way higher than all previous bottoms, and we're all the way up here at like 100. I mean, yeah, we're at like 70,000 at the moment. We have a massively long journey potentially ahead of us, way up here. I mean, look at this. We could get up to between $250 to $1 million. I don't know if $1 million will be through the cycle, but what I can tell you is that Bitcoin has only gone up. Bitcoin has only gone up over time. And as you can see here, once again, on the rainbow chart that I repeatedly show you on this channel, we have literally gone up this entire time. Yes, there's pullbacks, whoop-de-doo. But if we look at currently where we could be heading in the cycle, whatever, maybe 330,000 to 450,000, right? This is telling us like halfway in this area, which is where pretty much most of that is there, okay? A lot of resistance at that level. If we hit that level, that's absolutely amazing. Now, Mr. Sailor expects a $13 million Bitcoin by 2045. We are all the way down here right now. All the way down here, my friend. Which is very interesting, okay? Because we have all of this way to go. And that's another 20 years away, becoming a $13.4 million price. This is BTC, and this is the annual growth rate. So the annual growth rate essentially somewhat depreciates or depletes over time, but the growth continues to get absolutely massive. And here is another example, okay? Right here on the rainbow chart, we're saying here by 2036 that that's anywhere between $3 and $4 million a Bitcoin. Now that's still another 9-10 years to go on the other chart, which means that it could possibly hit that price without a doubt. I look forward to seeing Blockchain Center update the Bitcoin rainbow chart, but for now, another example is that 5 years ago, Bitcoin crashed 50% in a day. Boom! We're literally up 20x ever since that. Okay, that is epic. Okay, so my friends, for you and your altcoin bags, right now you need to be very excited because altcoin season is obviously above 75. Okay, above 75 equals altcoin season, below 25 equals Bitcoin season. We're in a Bitcoin season, okay, right now. There's no doubt about it. So at the moment, sitting at the 24 level, altcoins and your altcoin bags are absolutely bleeding. But this is a really good time to be accumulating your Bitcoin and your altcoins right now using my Bybit link down below. You can see that I bought down here as promised to you. Yes, I'm in the negative. No problem, my friend. Just like I showed you right now on the daily chart here, okay? When we have a very close look at what's busy happening here, boom, we'll have a spike up, we'll have a push down. I will buy on the Bollinger Band. Once again, I will, when it hits this Bollinger Band, because it's very likely it's going to, I will buy. At that point, I believe we'll be making the higher low session, okay, and then starting to make that return back up. For now, that means the stochastic is heading to oversold, the MACD is heading down, but your altcoin bags will be pumping soon. This, within the next 10 days, will be your last opportunity. And I say 10 days, more or less, okay, because right now, when you see the pump up here, that's the 24th of March. Today's the 13th of March. So by the 24th of March, that's when the M2 supply starts to turn back up for this massive rally here. So don't go anywhere. Use my link down below. Okay, get yourself some Bitcoin, because I'm going to be doing the same thing, and I'm going to make sure that I even out this trade to $0, okay, and actually in profit by buying down all the way here at the incy little basic bottom right here right now. Because if we end up at 500,000, that's a 5x on this magic. So if you're going to 6x, you're literally getting like 30x odd on your liquidity here. So make sure you are subscribed to the Crypto Bliss community and channel. And I truly appreciate you for being here and part of this community. And we will see you on the next one. Take care. Have a lovely